Bloodborne, a game that is so ever-present yet will never ever get remade by Sony. A game that means a ton to a lot of people. And to me, it's my favorite Souls game by a mile and a half. I love it to death. I even bought the Bloodborne board game and painted all of the figures in it. That's how much I like Bloodborne. Which is why I find it so interesting that recently on Twitter, or X if you're a degenerate, people have been arguing over the meaning of Bloodborne, and specifically the femininity found within Bloodborne. This whole conversation started in a few different places, and I will flash up the tweets of what I'm referencing as I speak about it. This seemingly started from an account called Bimbo Baggins, which is hilarious. This seemingly started with them saying that Elden Ring was girly due to the Dancing Blades butterfly incantation, which in turn apparently upset some Souls fans by saying Elden Ring is girly. This then brought up a follow-up response, speaking about Bloodborne and how the blatant femininity in that game is one of its core values. And just like anything on Twitter, this got a response. This was the response. Bloodborne is at its core about stopping a beast plague by killing as many of them as you can. You're a hunter. The entire plot does not consist of motherhood, girls, and women. That's a blatant false. Stop with the feminist bullshit. And obviously there was many spin-off tweets that were then discussing on both sides of the argument. But what annoys me about this is the original follow-up tweet saying that you're simply a hunter. That person has no idea what they're talking about. Femininity is at the core of Bloodborne. It is very obviously in your face. There are many, many meanings that you can derive from Bloodborne on top of the feminism. That's one of the best parts about this game, is how open-ended it is and how you can truly get your own personal interpretation of what is happening and what the story means to you. A great video I will reference here is TB Skyen, who has a wonderful series in Bloodborne, I will say immediately, has a video called The Many Meanings of Bloodborne. This video, he goes over and talks to his community about what their personal interpretations of the game were. However, femininity is blatantly obvious and can be found in many different forms within the game. Let's name a few of these examples. As I quickly mentioned, there's a lot of different interpretations of the story, but here's a general overview of what the story of Bloodborne is about. Super simply, you are a hunter that is going to slay the nightmare. The world is corrupt by beast plagues, by gods, and by malpractice of both the church and scholars. Your job as a hunter is to cleanse the gothic town of Yharnam of its beast plague. Or well, that's what it seems like for the first maybe half of the game, before you receive enough points in the insight stat, which allows you to see the true horrors that are happening around you.
Oh, Amygdala. Oh, Amygdala. Have mercy on the poor bastard.
Near the midpoint of the game, where you finally see the truth of the world, you have your first encounter with Queen Yharnam, a being that was originally part of Yharnam before the city was built. She is known as a Tumerian, yet that is not important. That is a much more thorough deep dive into the lore. But one thing you'll notice essentially about her is not only is she crying throughout the game, she also has a blood-soaked dress, where the blood conveniently is right where her womb would be. As you progress through the game, you go to fight the Nightmare, which is baby Mergo, the stolen son of Queen Yharnam, who is being taken to commune with the Great Ones, aka the gods that you have been seeing since you hit 50 insight. The implication is that her son was taken by her forcefully via C-section. This explains the blood in the position where it is on her dress. Also being explained by both the boss Mergo's wet nurse and by the fact that Queen Yharnam is crying at the bottom of the Mergo's wet nurse arena. For those who do not know, a wet nurse is a woman who would historically take care of another woman's baby by both breastfeeding and giving it attention and care early on. These were common for wealthy families, befitting a queen such as Queen Yharnam. But her crying indicates that this was not wanted. You essentially defeat the Nightmare by defeating Mergo's wet nurse, in which then the lore gets a little ambiguous and you don't really know what happens if you slayed the child yourself or if they are returned to Queen Yharnam. Okay, but you may say that is not inherently feministic. Here is another example. the story of Arianna the Whore. To quickly summarize her story, essentially Arianna the Whore is, well, what her name says on the tip. You can save her during the events of Bloodborne, and if you do the right conditions, you can do her questline. Progressing through her questline, when you hit 50 insight or defeat Rom the Vacuous Spider, which is also conveniently when you see Queen Yharnam for the first time, Arianna can be found in the safe area where you sent her to, doubled over in pain. Progressing further when you defeat the boss Mikolash, upon returning to the chapel, the safe area where you have left Arianna, you will find a blood trail leading to the basement. Following the blood trail, you find Arianna and her newly birthed child. Yet this is not a normal child, it is a celestial one, aka one of the Great Ones itself. Arianna is extremely distraught over this, and killing the child will also kill her. This is very obviously an allegory for rape. As everything is in Bloodborne, the way you interpret this is open up to you. However, clearly a woman giving birth randomly while being distraught about it makes it seem like they're clearly trying to start a talking point there. Finally, though, access to the true ending of this game, you have to consume 3 umbilical cord pieces. These are gained by finding the Hunter's Workshop, irrelevant, doesn't matter to this conversation, by finishing Arianna's questline and killing the child, by doing Osethka's questline, which is a whole other option if you want another example of femininity. However, I'm not going to take the time to go over that one. You can look that one up yourself. And by killing Marigo's wet nurse. Consuming these 3 1/3 umbilical cords will allow you to access the true ending of the game, in which you fight the Moon Presence, a great one who is controlling your hunter's dream, and essentially is what had sent you off on your journey in the first place. All this to say, the themes of womanhood, birth, and other more tricky subjects such as rape are all very present within the main story of Bloodborne. Now, I don't think I'm personally capable of describing how these work together to empower or disempower or anything about women. I don't think it's my place. I see these things and they mean specific things to me, but not being a woman, I'm not going to speak on them like I fucking know everything. But what is obvious is that these things exist and they're so in your face that you going and saying that it's just a game about being a hunter is so fucking incorrect, it makes me irate. We live in a world where everything has to be woke or anti-woke, and it's not cut and dry. You can have deep, powerful conversations about women, about LGBTQ topics. You can have talks about men and men's mental health and things like that, and it doesn't have to be woke and gay about everything. It destroys the idea of critical thinking, and it stops any positive discussion about anything because you're too hard-headed to think outside of the box about anything. Bloodborne is a magnificent game. It has an excellent story, excellent gameplay, excellent music, excellent characters, and shitting all over how one person looks at it defeats the entire purpose of the game. This is a beautiful piece of art that should be appreciated by anyone in any way. And I understand there's going to be those comments, if there are comments, about me shitting over this guy thinking it's about a game about hunting. That's not the point. It's the fact that he openly shit on someone else's opinions first about the game, especially when they're in your face, and then made this whole conversation happen in the first place. It's stupid, it's dumb, it's idiotic, and it's a waste of everyone's time. Appreciate Bloodborne for the masterpiece that it is and get your own opinions off it. Don't shit on other people's opinions.